Okay, today we're going to do a paprika tutorial. This was a request by someone who watched my toddy tutorial. So if you haven't seen that, go to my channel and check it out. I love all things app and organization. So let's get into it. The Paprika app is really kind of your full meal organizational planner process, all of those things. You store recipes, you meal plan, you grocery list create, you menu plan. It even has pantry inventory capabilities if you're so inclined. So let's jump in to the upper left top 3 lines here and go to settings first. You can, under appearance, change your font size. You can alphabetize your categories. You can keep your screen on. So this means that when you're in the middle of cooking and you have your recipe open, the screen's not going to black out on you. And then you have show image placeholder, and I have no idea what this means. I assume that I like it because it's checked, but I don't know. So this is a good opportunity to say I am not affiliated with Paprika. I don't work for them. I have no affiliation at all. I'm just a fan. So I'm sharing with you my personal experience only. On your grocery list settings, I've chosen consolidate ingredients. So that means that if you have 2 recipes with a similar ingredient, it's going to combine those. For example, 2 recipes call for 1 pound of ground beef each. Your grocery list will list that you need to purchase 2 pounds of ground beef. And then I've also chosen to show the recipe names within my grocery list. If I'm honest, I don't know if I love this or not. I can see some values sometimes. So if my list is asking for me to purchase lemons, and I'm like, why do I need lemons? I don't use lemons. It'll show that I'm making a lemon poppy seed loaf, and so I need lemon zest. So it's kind of helpful sometimes. Sometimes it just makes my list longer than it needs to be. You can decide what you like. And then under grocery list, you have aisles. If you click on aisles, there is a set, kind of a standard list of aisles that the app comes with, but it is fully customizable. So you can add aisles, you can remove aisles, you can move them around and reorder them based on maybe your store's layout. This is something I've always wanted to do, but I haven't had the patience yet to go into the store and walk through and put everything in order, but that would be glorious. I also have aisles set up for different stores that we might go to. So you'll see I'm from the Midwest because I have Menards on my list. Everyone in the Midwest loves Menards. And then I have Aaron's also as a store. So if we ever are out and about, we're doing our grocery shopping and we need to stop at the post office or maybe drop something off at the charity thrift store, I'll put that under Aaron's so that it's something that we remember to do. Otherwise, we'll forget. Under Meal Planner, you can choose the day upon which your week starts. We choose Saturday because we grocery shop Saturday morning or Friday afternoon. Actually, Friday evening. And then meal types. And I'll explain this a little bit in more detail when we get to the meal planner portion of the tutorial. But I do have a weather and events meal, quote unquote, along with miscellaneous that I've added. So this is also important to note while I'm here. If you click on each of the items, you can choose the color that they show up as on your meal plan. And there's a reason for this. Again, I'll show you when we get there. But you can choose that color. That's important to note. And again, you can move these around as you need to. And then, of course, your terms of use, privacy policy, user guide, help center. We all know that we all read all of these every time we use an app. So be sure to read all of those in their entirety, maybe twice. Okay, so let's go to recipes first. I think this is probably the most commonly used feature is the recipe tracking. So I currently have 491 recipes, and these are a culmination of personal recipes that I have input manually from family cookbooks, and then those that I've downloaded from the web. So we'll look first at how to add a recipe from the browser. So again, we're going to the top 3 lines on the top left. We'll go to browser, and then you'll do a Google recipe search. So let's look for a recipe for bananas Foster. Oops, here we go. And then we'll hit our magnifying glass on our keyboard. I should note I am working on an Android. I'm not sure if any of this is different on an iPhone. And I like to go through and just look for the 5-star recipes and kind of start there. So this is really just like scrolling through any other time you're scrolling the web. So I'm going to go to, even though this recipe has 5 stars, it only has 2 reviews. So I'm going to stick with the All Recipes Banana Foster. Now, I don't know about you guys, but these stories that now accompany all recipes frustrate me to no end. So of course you can jump to the recipe, but it's just, I find it frustrating. But with Paprika, if you just simply hit the download button, it's going to get rid of all that mess. So now you just have the recipe itself. So you can go through and edit this any way that you like. Just keep in mind that any way that this shows up is how it is going to pull over onto your grocery list to some degree. So, for some recipes, someone might say 1/4 cup of butter or margarine if you like margarine, but I like butter better. That's exactly what's going to show up on your grocery list. Butter or margarine, unless you like butter better, but I like margarine, or whatever it says. So kind of just trim it down so it makes sense for your grocery list. Then you have your directions, notes. You can add nutrition values if you'd like to. I wish there were prompts, such as calories, fat, protein, carbs, macros, micros, but there's not, so you can enter it or not to as much detail as you like. And then you can also categorize. So the categories, again, it comes with a standard set of categories, but then you can adjust these any way that fits for your family. I love to categorize things. I do not cook. I don't know if I said that earlier. I do not cook. Eric does the cooking, but I do like to categorize. So I organize the app and he cooks the things in it. That's kind of how we roll. But so for this, I am going to go to my dessert category. So I'm going to say dessert. It has fruit, so we'll say fruit. And I'm going to say it's kind of a pie cobbler. Not really, I mean kind of, but I would be looking for this probably if I was in a pie mood. And then dessert other. I'm just picking random things. But what this means is that anytime you go to any of these categories, this Bananas Fosters will show up. It doesn't mean that if you're looking for Bananas Fosters, you have to choose all of these categories to find it. I hope that makes sense. For the ratings, excuse me, the way that we use the ratings is simply if we've made it and we like it and we make it again, we give it a 5-star rating. If we don't like it and we would not make it again, then we delete it from the app. It's digital clutter. You don't need it. If you won't eat it again, get rid of it. If we haven't made it, it's not going to show any stars. So we have a lot of recipes in our list that we've downloaded, we thought looked good, but we haven't made it yet. So let's go back to the recipes. You'll see it shows right up at the top. And then let's go ahead and add a new recipe from scratch. So I'm going to hit the plus button again. And you can put in your own recipe from scratch. So we're just going to say this is a test recipe. You can add a photo. This is just like any other opportunity to add a photo. So it's going to go into your Google Photos, your media pickers. I'm not going to show you how here because I don't want it to share my family photos on this video. But it's the standard way of uploading any other photo. Then you can add any of the other info like you saw when we downloaded it from the browser. For ingredients, you simply put in whatever it is. So we're going to say item, enter item. And then there's 2 items. So it's very, very simple. And then the directions are test. You hit save. And now it's on my recipe list. So to delete a recipe, you simply hold it down, hit the little trash can in the upper left, and then delete. Super simple. So that's how we manage recipes. Now, when you go to search for a recipe, this feels to me a little clunky. It's probably one of my least favorite functions within Paprika, but you go to the little caret next to all recipes here, and you choose your category. So say I'm looking for a breakfast. I can either click on breakfast, the word, and it's going to show all the breakfast recipes that I have. Or if I go back, I can hit the little caret under breakfast, and I can specify that I'm looking for a smoothie. And it's going to pull up all my smoothie recipes. And then you can go back to all recipes. If you're looking for something in particular, you can do a search with your little magnifying glass. So I'm going to search for Eric. I have a lot of recipes that Eric has come up with here. I'm going to show this example just for fun. So we have chicken picado. It's a Mexican dish, and the recipe looks really weird, but it is so delicious. So I create recipes like this when he makes something just kind of off the cuff. That way we know if he's going to make it again, I know what to buy. But under directions, I simply say, give to Eric to make. He hates it when I do this because sometimes, like recently, he made chicken enchiladas for some of his coworkers. They asked him for the recipe, and he just automatically shared it to them through this app, not realizing that I had input directions of give to Eric to make. So they got a good laugh at his expense over that one, but I thought it was fun. So speaking of which, if you want to share a recipe, let's pull up our Bananas Foster. You'll go up to the upper right, click your little 3 dots, and then you can either email it or you can print it. So when Eric cooks, he likes to have a printed copy of the recipe. I don't understand it, but that's his jam, so that's okay. Or you can share it, and it gives you the option of source link, paprika file, or recipe text. So if my kids, for example, want a recipe, maybe they're at the grocery store and they want a recipe for grandma's macaroni salad, I can send them the text via Snapchat, and they have the information right what they need. Okay, so now that we've looked at the recipes, how to build those, let's look at our meal planner next. Okay, so here you can see where things are broken down. They're broken down by color, and I told you we talk about weather. So I add weather every single day of the week when I do my meal planning. It's the first thing that I do is I add the weather and I add the events and the schedule that we have. This time of year, it doesn't matter much with the weather. It's always cold, but like fall and spring, if it's really nice out, we might want to grill. If it's scheduled to be super cold, we might want to have super chili. So I add that weather and it kind of helps with the planning. I also have a recipe that I add every week called Staples, and this is in the regular recipe. I'll go ahead and pull that up. This is a little fun hack. I have one for camping staples because we do camp quite a bit, and then I have regular staples. So that's going to include our paper products, our pet supplies, body wash, shampoo, and then regular things that we always have on hand: milk, yogurt, eggs, cheese, dog food, those kind of things. And so we'll, what we call shop the pantry. We'll add it to our grocery list, but then we'll shop the pantry. So let's look at these meals. We have the meals in, everything is set up. You can look at it one of 3 ways from the top. You can look at the day view. So today, for example, we've been kind of slacking in January, I'm not going to lie. But you can see we have dinner. We have white chicken chili and then a Mexican chopped salad. So that's our day view, our week view. You can see all of the meals for the week. And in the month view, this is where that color coding really comes in handy. You can see really easily, again, we've been slacking off the first part of January, but you can see, if you know that you're looking to build breakfasts, I have breakfast on the 12th and the 13th. Those are orange. I am missing those the rest of the week. So those are the areas I need to plop in some breakfast. Or maybe, I know my weather is blue, so I've got weather already completed for the whole week. Dinner is purple. That's completed for the week. So if you know your colors, you can kind of take a quick glance at the menu and see what you've got going on. Let's go back to our week view. So I've got a couple of test menus I've already been working with here. Let's say February 8th, we want to add a recipe to our meal plan. So let's go up to the top. We'll do a plus. We're going to add a recipe. And then you can either search, you can look through and find something that looks good. What I tend to find myself doing is going to main dish and then just kind of scrolling and being like, what looks good? Let's do some salsa verde chicken and rice. We're going to throw that in on January 9th. That is a delicious dish, by the way. And then what goes well with that? We're going to say that goes well with some, I'm going to add a note. We're going to have corn. Bear with me. This is difficult off the cuff here. Okay, so the reason I added one via recipe and one via note is because it's important to note that a recipe can automatically upload to your grocery list. A note cannot. So when you're building your grocery list, you have to look through for any of your notes, which are always in italics, and add those manually. So let's say we have our entire week planned out here. Let's go to our grocery list. I'm actually going to clear this grocery list. And I'm going to go back to my menu. Let me go back to this one that I had started to build here. So I have Aztec quiche, air fried salmon are both recipes, and apples and asparagus are both notes. And remember, we can tell because the notes are in italics. So when I go to my grocery list, I'm going to go there really quickly and I'm going to add my apples and asparagus first. That way I don't forget those. So I'm going to groceries, I'm going to add apples and asparagus. And isn't that fun? It puts it under my produce category. Now let's go back to our meal plan and we have our recipes. So we've added all of our note items. Now we've got our recipes. Let's add that. We're going to go to our three dots in the upper right, add to grocery list. And you'll see why I check those in a moment. I'll explain that. But we're going to go through and look at this list. This is all of the ingredients for both recipes. We're going to go through and look. I know I have dill, cumin, salt, and I know that I have salmon in the freezer. So I'm going to uncheck those and then we're going to save it and it's going to load to our grocery list. So let's go to the grocery list. And at this point, now that everything is in the grocery list, I like to look through, make sure that it's categorized correctly. Sometimes if Paprika isn't familiar with it, it will categorize it as a miscellaneous and then you'll want to move it. So for example, Aldi is typically where I buy my cheese when I'm not buying the bulk cheese at Costco. So I'm going to say I want to buy Aldi's or this cheese just at the regular grocery store. So I'm going to hold down the cheese. Actually, I'm just going to click the cheese. And then I can change the aisle here. So I'm going to change it to the dairy aisle. And you can change the quantity, you can change the notes, whatever you need to change here. And we'll save that. So as you grocery shop, Eric and I do what we call shop the pantry. We'll go through our pantry, our fridge, our freezers, and see if we have anything on stock before we go to the grocery store. And this is how we make sure to use up our inventory. So let's say we've gone through and we've checked all of these things. This is the same process that you would follow at the grocery store. We check our items. We know that we have them or we've purchased them. You can do one of two things. You can either go up to the top. Well, you can either leave it like this. If you're like us, you shop at multiple stores. So I like to go up to the top, the three dots, and clear my grocery list. You'll want to be sure and clear purchased items only. Don't clear all, because then you lose your entire list. And I've done that before on accident. So you're going to clear your purchased, and then you have only the remaining items when you go to your next store. Your other option, we're going to click two items. We're going to click the three dots and move to pantry. Again, move purchased or move all. We'll move purchased. So that's how you grocery shop. Now we're going to go into our pantry. And so this is where we've moved the items. Now, I do not use the pantry manager. This is a food inventory manager. I love the thought of it. I love the concept of it. In reality, it's just not something that we use the way that I wish that we would. We can be really, really good at adding things to the pantry. What we're not good about is using the things. So maybe we ate the Bush's baked beans at a meal. I believe you'd probably delete that once you used it. Or maybe the canned chicken breast, you can check on this. I'm sorry, guys, I really don't even know how to explain this to you because I haven't used it. I'm assuming you can mark that you don't have it in stock. You would change the date that you bought it if you didn't add it, if you're adding manually. But this is the pantry manager. And so this is why earlier when I pulled up, we'll do this again. When I went to add these to my grocery list, it showed these 3 items or these 4 items now because I added more to the pantry. That's why these are not checked because it believes I have them in my pantry. So I need to go out and clear that pantry out. But that is an option if you think you would use it. If I lived alone, I would probably be the person to use the pantry and would check those items off as I use them. Eric cooking and living in a house with more than one person, it is just not realistic to expect that they're going to check things off as they use them. But it might work for you. So if it does, I'm jealous. I wish it did in my house. Let's see. I believe we have not talked about menus. So for a menu, this doesn't work for my family because we like to have a lot of variety. But if you're in a family where you like to have maybe kind of a set menu of meals that you use maybe that you rotate through every 3 or 4 weeks, this is a great option. I love the concept of this. I actually might kind of start playing with this a little bit, but we'll see. So to make a new menu, you hit plus, you add the name of the menu, and then the number of days that menu covers. So this could be great. You could do a 5-day menu, for example. So maybe you're rotating through the same weekday menu week over week, and then you're just adjusting and making new things on the weekends. That I could see. So let's take a look at the menu. So this is my test menu that I set up today. All of these I set up as notes. Let's add a recipe. We're going to do that air fried salmon again, just because it's so close. And we're going to add that on day 3. There we go. So yum, spaghetti and air fried salmon. Let's remove the spaghetti, shall we? No offense if that's someone's favorite meal that's watching this. So we have all of our meals set up here. Let's go back to our meal planner. I believe, let me see. Yeah. I was wondering if you could add it to the menu from here, but you cannot, or to the meal planner from here, you cannot. So let's go back to our meals. Let's find an open week. Okay, here we are. Here's an open week. So I'm going to do a plus again. This is the same place where we'd add a recipe, add a note. We can add a menu. We'll add a menu 1. You have to find that week again that's empty. There we go. And look at that. Everything loaded in. Now, what's interesting is that that was a 7-day meal plan. I accidentally, when doing this video, added it to Sunday versus Saturday. And you can see it added 7 days worth and carried over to the next Saturday. So you don't have to carry it over from a specific day. Like it doesn't have to be Saturday to Saturday. So that was interesting. Just learned that as I was doing this with you today. So always so much to learn in these apps as we play with them. That is really everything. I hope you found this helpful. I hope that you'll play with this app and try to find ways that it might apply for your family. It is such a time saver for us, such a stress reliever. And it's so awesome when we're out and about and it's like, you know what I'm craving? I'm craving that brownie that you used to make back in high school. And I can pull up that recipe and buy the stuff right there. It's so convenient. So I hope you give it a try. Thanks.